Hey, thanks for joining us on this Friday afternoon. I'm meteorologist Taylor Cox, and we have a special Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter Live today. We have Derik Klein, he's our CEO here at Hail Trace, here to tell us about his experience filming on Twisters. So Derik, you got to do a very cool thing over the last year. You were on set of the highly anticipated movie Twisters. You were behind the scenes, you were in front of the camera at times. Tell us about your experience on set and what you got to do there.
It was really neat. I've never been on a movie set before, so this is my first time to ever do anything. I think they just used me for the truck, but you know they needed background characters as well.
Whatever gets you in.
Yeah, right. That's kind of what it was for. So the first so they had me on 3 or 4 different sets over a series. I would say I was there about 10 days total on set. I got to meet all the big actors. I got to be there for the food. They paid us a little bit, but it was you basically show up every day at 6:30 or 7 a.m. There was one of the days it was 4:30 a.m. that we had to be there, and then they would shoot until the sun was down, and so that would typically most of the shots were done in the summer, so we would stay out till 7 or 8 o'clock. Every day, so it was 12 to 14-hour days, except the one in December, and that was when they had us come out early because they were getting everything set up in the dark, in the morning darkness, and then they knew they had to be done by 4 o'clock because it gets dark so early. So it was really neat. I mean, getting to see how they shoot the shots, why they do them, how many times you redo them, the food they feed us, like how they treat the background characters versus the second unit versus the main characters, the lighting, the cameras they use, how the director is. I got to meet Isaac, who was the director or producer of the movie. He's done tons of stuff, Marvel movies, like all kinds of really cool, like just crazy some of the people that we got to meet.
That's really cool. Well, and you said on there, and I think it probably piqued a lot of people's interest, that you got to meet the main cast.
Yes.
Who from the main cast did you get to meet? How were they on set? Did you guys get to talk to them quite often?
Yeah, I mean, it depended, we were working a lot, but in between times they would be setting up like the next camera angle or the next scene, and sometimes that could take 20 or 30 minutes, or there were even times it probably took an hour. And the characters, they would come over and chat with us. They would ask us questions about storm chasing. So we were, real storm chasers, and they would ask, so what would you say in this scenario? What's something that you would say? They would, I know there was a time Glenn Powell was playing football with us, like we were all throwing the football around. Anthony Ramos, he liked the storm chasing a lot. So he was always talking with the storm chasers. He really was kind of interested in storm chasing and how it works. There was a day that there were some storms off to our west, and so he was asking about the clouds and like, well, would you go chase this storm, and where would you go, and what would that look like? So they were all super nice, surprisingly nice, and then the director, he was like, I kind of expected like he might be a little tough because he's got to like get stuff done when it needs to get done, and he would be tough on the staff. So the staff that would be setting up the lighting, and they would be doing different things, and you would see him get upset with them. But the background characters, if we ever did anything wrong, he was like so nice. He was like, hey, come here for just a second. Let me help you. I want you to walk like this, and if you could just turn and go over to here, and then go over and talk to this person. You're doing excellent. I really appreciate you being here.
Aww.
So it was really cool to see, that he understood we're not actors. We don't. I mean, some of them were actors, but the storm chasers, we don't know what we're doing. We're just here.
Absolutely. Well, and how many storm chasers were on set? We saw a lot of pictures from people behind the scenes.
There were a lot. So there were some that were just actors that weren't actually storm chasers, and then there were a bunch that were storm chasers. Most of the storm chasers, they had us bring our vehicles. They wanted vehicles placed in the gas station parking lots, and we would call it chaser convergence, but they did a good job of showing that stuff happens and it was there.
Yeah.
And so I would say there were probably 20 to 30 storm chasers.
Wow.
On each day that we did the set, something like that, maybe 15, somewhere in there. But it was a decent number. And then they had double the amount of extras too that were also there to help.
And on that topic, you've been out chasing many, many, many times. You know about chaser convergence. You know what to expect whenever you're out in the field. And you've seen the movie now.
I have, yeah.
The depiction of chasing in the movie, how similar or different is that to what you've seen in real life?
It's surprisingly good. So, I saw the previews. If you've seen a preview, you've seen the fire tornado. And I was like, oh, please don't just be like way over the top. And they actually did a good job even with the fire tornado. I was like, I'm never going to see that in real life, but it's possible.
Absolutely.
It's absolutely, it could happen in some weird scenario.
Yeah.
So I was surprised, even like the meteorology that they use, like they were much better with using accurate weather terms and even the first one I thought, I guess it's not really a sequel, but it's after the first one. They did a really good job of implementing things that we would be saying. They talk about CAPE and they talk about cold pools and they talk about a lot of things that we talk about when we're out storm chasing, and it was like, that was pretty good.
That's as a meteorologist, and we have a lot of meteorologists here at Hail Trace, that is really good to hear. We're very proud to hear that.
It was, I think.
Everything is accurate.
I think we were all like wondering, is that what it's going to be? And like in the movie theater when we went to the early premiere, there were a lot of meteorologists there, and every time they used something right, everybody's like, woo! It was pretty funny.
Good for them. I'm glad they did their research. Okay, let's go back to behind the scenes.
Okay.
We talked about how accurate is this in real life. I know that you had maybe some mud on your truck, but you didn't go mudding. What was this all about?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. Now, I don't think you can actually see it in the movie. That's kind of, maybe you can. I don't know. I need to like have a pauser to pause the movie scenes where the truck is in there, just so you can actually see it without a camera moving and
when
panning.
When it comes out streaming, we'll have to do that.
So for the there's a motel scene in the movie, and before they did the setup, they had this bucket of paint, basically, or I don't know, maybe it was mud and water, I don't know, but it was red, just like Oklahoma red mud, and they would splash it on the tires and it looked identical to mud. There you go, you can see it right there. You can see that is not real mud.
It looks like you went mudding here.
I know, yeah, it looks like, I don't know how many times I've gone storm chasing, and that's what my truck looks like afterwards. So, so they did a really, really good job of post, like, even the mirrors, like, splashed them on the dash. And even the guy that was doing it, we were standing there on set, and he was like, is this what it looks like when you get done? And you'd be like, well, there's usually some here. And he would splash some on there.
You were the expert. They were taking your critiques or your advice.
Yeah, like, and on the scenes, how would you stand? Like, if you were looking at a storm, where would you be? And I'm like, well, I always stand on the rail with my hand on the door and looking out with the door open. And they're like, okay, do that. That's how we want you to be in the movie. So they did a really good job of taking that type of stuff, that type of feedback, and using it to make it realistic.
That's cool. That's really good to hear. As I mentioned, a lot of meteorologists here, so we're watching for that kind of stuff. That's good to hear. Okay, still behind set here, there's a rumor that Kate's, Daisy Edgar Jones, the storm chasing truck that she uses, is very similar to Hail Stalker II. How true is that rumor?
It is very close. So I had a guy on the last day that we were on set. He was an engineer, so he was one of the guys that built a lot of the stuff. And he came up to me and he goes, is this your truck? And I was like, yeah, this is my truck. And he's like, this is the coolest truck. He said, we definitely saw images of this, and it helped us to kind of conceive the idea of the vehicles that we had. And then when you see then they used a Dodge, and I have a Ford Raptor, but the TRX and the Raptor, similar vehicles. I'm making all the Dodge and Ford fans mad right now, but they look very similar. And if you look at the pictures of the truck, there you go. You can see the Ram. So it's got kind of the metal caging on the back where you can put gas cans and different things. My weather instruments are smaller. I don't feel like breaking $10,000 weather instruments when I drive into Hail, but they have the weather instruments on the roof kind of like we do. The only real difference is you can see the cage only goes halfway across the roof of the truck, of the Dodge there, whereas mine goes all the way out past the windshield. So we extended it out to make it better for Hail. And he actually mentioned, he's like, yeah, we couldn't figure out how to do that, and it also wasn't good for being able to shoot shots in the truck
for filming.
Yeah, so it just didn't work for the movie what they needed, but for chasing Hail, it worked really good. So so there's Daisy right there with the.
This is really cool.
I know, right? With the truck in the background. That's probably one of my favorite shots right there. So I'm gonna have to get that one framed in the office. I don't know.
Absolutely, and it's such a perfect Oklahoma picturesque day. You've got the beautiful blue skies in the background, the storm chasing truck out there as well. I love that they filmed here
too. The wheat fields. I mean, this was near Kremlin, Oklahoma, was where this one was shot. So just north of Enid. There's Pawhuska, Oklahoma, and that we actually had big storms that day. In fact, they had to delay the set, so we got there at like 6 a.m. and of course, we're all watching the weather driving up there, and I'm like, we're not gonna be doing any shots for a while. I don't think we started till like 1 o'clock that day, but they don't stop. They just make you sit and wait in a trailer for the whole time, and then they're like, all right, let's go. It's the weather's out.
Feels ironic to have to like delay the Twisters movie or the filming for the Twisters movie because of storms.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, everybody was outside looking at the storm clouds, and up there where the windmills and Osage County, where the windmills and all the rolling hills, you put a storm on that background, and it is stunning.
Absolutely.
It's one of the most beautiful things you'll ever see.
I'm glad they got some really good shots of that. That's great. Okay, so without giving anything away, what is one thing that most people don't know about storm chasing that they may find out while they're watching the movie? We know a lot of people are going to go watch the movie this weekend. What are they going to see in the movie that they may say, oh, I didn't know that?
That's a really, really great question. So I would say, in the first part, like the first handful of scenes, there's a lot of realistic sides to it. So the idea that we all kind of hang out at like either gas stations or street corners and things like that absolutely happens. You won't see any storm chasers selling t-shirts, although sneak peek, we have a t-shirt that we're going to give away. So maybe we're changing the game now. We're gonna follow Glenn's character.
That's a little teaser for we have an event on Tuesday, which we can talk more about in just a few minutes. But so they don't usually sell t-shirts. It's not usually like a merchandise event. This is a very like hurry up and wait is what I usually call storm chasing.
Yeah, you'll see like, everything in Hollywood's a little bit over the top. But you'll see like scenes where vehicles, swerve in front of. Like, there's a lot of traffic out there storm chasing now, and in fact, I always talk about the most dangerous part of storm chasing is not the tornado. It's the traffic. But there are storm chasers now that are trying to drive into tornadoes. Like you got Reed Timmer and some of those guys, right? That's in the movie, right? So you'll see some characters that maybe if you're a fan of storm chasing, you're like, I recognize that guy, right? I think we would be more on with the PARS team would be our character in the movie. I don't know. So.
No, that's definitely a thing. You used the term storm chaser convergence earlier, and it's these tiny towns that are not used to so many people, especially all at once. These roads are not built for hosting so many people, and then all of a sudden you've got up to hundreds of storm chasers that come through these tiny towns. That
are driving through with a high level of urgency too, and I think so you've got a stop sign or a stoplight, and you've got 100 cars backed up, and then a tornadic storm moving in the same direction. You'll see in the movie they chase in front of the tornado, and yes, we chase in front of the tornado a lot of times. We get close, and some of the scenes where they get a little too close and they get concerned, and in the movie they get hit a lot of times, but we have close calls sometimes where it's like, whoops. got a little too close on that one. So that does happen.
Note that for next time.
Yes, right.
Maybe not that close next time.
Yeah, right.
Do you have a notable storm chasing experience that maybe looked very similar to something in the movie, or that you just want to share with us?
I think so. There's an opening scene where there's a big tornado. You'll see it. It's right out the gate. It's a really, really good scene. And John, our lead meteorologist here at Hail Trace, him and I watched the movie together, and we came out and we were both on the same page that it felt, and I chased the El Reno tornado, it felt eerily similar to that day.
Wow.
Where storm chasers were hit with the tornado, storm chasers were killed by the tornado. It was a large tornado. In the record books it's an EF3, but it was an EF5 tornado. Everybody that knows that it just didn't hit anything. And just again, tornado did something that caught a storm chaser off guard that they weren't expecting, and a good storm chaser at that. So same thing. So it was very eerie in how I was like, oh, I feel like I'm back to that week when that happened, and we had a close call. I mean, we had debris in the back of our truck from that day, so
wow.
it was close.
Wow, yeah, kind of a very eerie feeling there. Like,
Yeah.
Is this a movie? I mean, obviously that was the movie, but you lived that. You lived that experience.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, I want to go back to the movie because you mentioned that you went to the premiere, and there was a question and answer form of that as well. A panel, I think. Can you tell us about that? If you learned anything interesting?
Yeah,
or anything
I was.
New from that?
I don't know that I necessarily learned anything. But it was just fun to hear the characters talk about their time. They loved Oklahoma, which I love. I love Oklahoma, so it's my favorite place. So they were surprised by Oklahoma and what it was. I think Glenn Powell's from Texas. I did learn that. I didn't know he was from Texas, but he, they really enjoyed their time in Oklahoma. They enjoyed the storm chasing. Like a couple of them got to go storm chasing. I didn't know that. They called out, some big names, that are local weather people here.
Yeah.
That was really cool. So, the fans, I think they said, was the biggest thing for them. That was crazy. They had these like big jet fans that would just blow like crazy. I got to be on set for one of those, and it was absurd how much they would whip your door open on your vehicle and almost rip the vehicle, the door off which is just like storm chasing. So it was realistic as could be. If there was a tornado, I just didn't realize it was that strong. Usually a tornado, I know the wind's that strong. So
yeah, it's coming.
You're prepared for it. You're holding the door and gingerly opening it. So.
Wow, and you said that was on a gravel parking lot or something?
Yeah, it was
so there was dust flying?
Yeah, it was if you've ever been on a street corner where the highway kind of veers around, and then they have the country road that pulls off, and then they usually make another road to come up for the turn, so it makes this big triangle in the middle, and that was all gravel. And so they shut that down, and then they would it was cool because they had the highway patrol was out on the set, and they would actually block traffic on the highways. So when we would start shooting, I can't remember what he called it, but he would say something, and then the highway patrol would stop traffic, and they wouldn't let anybody through. And we would shoot our stuff, and then he would say, all right, traffic through, and they would let the traffic through, and then they would stop it again. And they did it Highway 81, which is a pretty big highway. They stopped traffic on Highway 81
wow.
probably for an hour every day, maybe more than that. Yeah. In downtown Fairview, they blocked off everything, so no cars were allowed to get through downtown Fairview when we were shooting the motel scene. That was mostly at night. We shot that one it was raining again on that one, but we shot that one from 9 p.m. Yeah, there's the fans right there. You can see them. So they don't have them. They're just kind of going there. So they would leave them like that, and then when they would shoot the set, they would just crank it up. And it would just blow like crazy. And there's probably another video, John, where I'm setting in the truck, where you can't see the fans, but you can hear the fans, and then you can hear the director talking. And I don't know if the audio's on here. But those are all characters, they're background characters walking around. And then there's the three main characters are here on this scene. In fact, one of them came over and asked me, what would you say What would you say if, if you were, we talked about like the bear's cage and how we're trying to core punch from the north side of the bear's cage, and she actually went off and said the exact same thing that we told her, which was really cool.
That's very cool.
But they're right there, and there's a fireworks scene that you'll find in the movie, and that's the shot that they're shooting right here, is this fireworks scene. So the director like goes, fireworks. It's like you can hear the fireworks going off.
You can hear it in the video.
Yeah, so we weren't outside for this one. They didn't need us. They were shooting on the right side of the truck, and my background character was on the door on the left side, and so they're like, you can just sit in your truck for this scene. So I just sat in there and was just watching, which was a lot of fun.
Hanging out and recording.
Yeah.
So I know that, I mean, you weren't in that scene, but I know you are in one scene. You said you could see yourself in the movie, right?
I've seen myself twice for sure.
Okay.
I may be in another one, but there was a lot of movement going on, so I couldn't tell. There's a scene where I'm standing by the truck and they get the tornado by the windmills. You'll see the truck, it's from the passenger side, and I walk to the front of the truck and I'm like pointing at the tornado.
That's a very big scene. I mean, that's in a lot of the trailers, and the Hail Stalker is right there.
Yeah. So that was really cool. So they're like, I think they're in their vans, I don't remember, but they're driving by, and you can just see us in the background, acting like we're storm chasing, basically. There's another scene where Daisy and Glenn are having like this conversation about a storm and where they should be going. And I'm in the back, you can see me in the background. And you can actually see the Hail Stalker there, but you only see it from the front view. So a lot of people haven't caught that the Hail Stalker, well, there's two, they get seen twice in there. You'll see it drive past them in the background. So I was driving it, and I was driving it like I was coming into the gas station. So you'll see me drive through there. And then it's parked directly. So if you imagine like the Hell cage, like if you were to look into it, that's what you're looking at. So you'll see the black Hell cage and then the front of the Raptor grill and looking into the windshield, and it's just sitting back there. So it doesn't have the pretty radar colors on the side. You can't see that. And then there's another scene where, again, I don't know if I could see myself there. I couldn't tell from when I watched it. And it's at the motel scene, and all the storm chasers, they have like music playing, and all the storm chasers are, having a good time. And I always think that I was hoping this would make it in there, because it was funny, because my character started off set and then walked through the set to another character, and I had 2 beers in my hand. And I handed a beer, but for a while I'm like walking around, and we all joked like, man, I'm like double fisting here in the movie right now. So, but you hand the beer off, and then I go to somebody else, and then somebody else, and that's while the main characters were actually walking by and doing their lines.
That's cool. That's really cool. Okay, I also know that they had asked you to wear storm chaser outfits, which I think to us, we think that's just whatever we hop in the car with. That's our storm chaser outfit. What did you choose for that?
So they actually sent us, they said it needs to follow this, and if you showed up and you didn't have something, they actually had outfits they would pick out for you, and they were super stringent on, okay, we're shooting this day, and then when you go to the next scene, which might be days later, even weeks later, it's still the same day, so you have to still be wearing the same clothes, even though we're in the background, and like, again, I could barely even point myself out. They were still very specific with. And so what they would do is so we would show up in the morning at like 6:30, and you would sign in. You'd have to fill out all this paperwork, and then they would take you to makeup. They never had to do any makeup for me, but if you had tattoos, they would actually cover that you could see. They would put like skin color over the tattoos.
Okay.
So they didn't want any tattoos showing. And then you would go to wardrobe, and so like I picked out, they sent out, it needs to be these types of colors, and boots and cargo shorts or pants and a shirt, and then we want like a second layer shirt over the top, and then unbuttoned, but it has to be all these different colors you can choose from. So I just went to Walmart and bought a couple things, and some boots, and then basically showed up on set. They liked mine, which was nice at the end of the day because I didn't have to change.
Yeah.
So while everybody else was changing and turning back in their wardrobe, I just went home. But
That makes for a very long day, a little bit shorter.
yeah, just a little bit shorter. So, but you would go through that, and then after everybody got their wardrobe on, they would line us up on a wall, and then they would take all of our pictures.
Oh, wow.
And so that's how they knew what we were wearing. And then when you were done, they would, if they gave you anything, they would take that, put it in a clothing bag, and then write your name on it. And so the next time you came in, you would tell them your name, and they would go in, look through and they'd pull your bag out and give it to you, and you'd go put it on, and then they'd pull the picture up before the next day, and they would go through and be like, and I mean, to the point where it's like, oh no, your sleeves were rolled up, not here to here. Like they would be that specific with, your hat was on backwards, not forward.
Wow.
I mean, it was very, very specific.
Very specific.
Yeah.
There's a lot of detail that's gone into this.
Yes, yeah.
Wow, that's so interesting. That's very cool. Okay, anything else that we haven't mentioned here that you think is important from set or from watching the movie even?
I mean, it was just a really unique experience. You know, I mean, I wish everybody could do it at least once. Like, if you can go try out to be an extra, like you should do it. Like, it was a really fun. You definitely don't do it for the money. They did have good lunch every day. Like, they had this company come in. I mean, they had trailers and trailers of stuff. But they had this company that would come in from California, this caterer, and they would cater. I mean, we would get like fish, chicken, steak,
Yum.
good vegetables. They had dessert. I mean, it was like a 5-course meal. I mean, it was so good every day. Like now
That's fun.
it's funny is that they would make the main characters got to go first, and then the next group, and then the background was always the last. Like they were like, all right, background, you can go now.
But there's trailers of food, I assume.
Oh yeah, they had plenty of food. There was one day though they brought snow cones in, and they didn't let us go till last, and I don't think we got those. So that was interesting. But yeah, it was just a really, really cool experience to be there on set to see how a movie's made.
I love that they did that in Oklahoma. I know they made like downtown Oklahoma City kind of look like New York City at one point.
Yep.
I love that they filmed here. So hopefully we'll get more movies filmed here, and more people will have opportunities to be extras, like this opportunity that you got.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Okay, so before we wrap up here, I do want to mention we have an event on Tuesday that we're very excited to invite all of our followers to. So this is at the Winchester Drive-In here in Oklahoma City. It's on Tuesday at 7:30. So starting at 7:30, we will have face painting and games, popcorn, all the fun stuff that you can get at a drive-in. And then at 8:45, the movie will start, and we'll be able to see Twisters and watch it all together. I know we'll also have the Hail Stalker there, so if you want to see the storm truck that was in the movie, Derik's storm truck that was in the movie, you can see that as well. So we're really excited to do that.
They have a bunch of storm chasing trucks there, so it'll be fun.
We're hoping so.
I know. I think 3 or 4 that were in the movie are going to come. So, or they said they're going to come. So it should be fun.
We're excited about that. So yeah, definitely come in. We're going to need like the timestamps of whenever you're in the movies that we can all have our eyes on screen.
I guess I need to go watch it again before then.
There you go. You can write it down. Yeah, darn. Have to see it again. Well, we're very excited to watch the movie. Thank you for joining us for this behind-the-scenes interview. This has been a lot of fun to learn about the movie, and I'm very excited. I hope a lot of other people are very excited now to watch the movie with us on Tuesday. So you can head over to our Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube pages to get the link for that, to get tickets on Tuesday for that movie watch party. We're very excited to invite everyone. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. We're going to have more forecasts every single day, Monday through Friday at noon. Of course, follow our Facebook and our Twitter, Instagram, TikTok pages for more fun weather stories like this. All right. Thanks for joining us today.